Alumni, family, students, and friends, welcome to Spring Alumni Reunion 2015, and thank you today for your time and for sharing your memories with us. I'd like to now introduce to you the alumni board members who are here tonight. Bill Baker, here with his wife Teresa. Christina Chronister, here with her daughter Isabel. And the following board members are those who formed the Outstanding Graduate Selection Committee. The individuals reviewed the nomination materials and made the final selection of the outstanding graduates. And they are Candy Almgren, Sherry Ward, here with her mother, Betty Cushenberry, Judy Wagamont, and Rod Duncan, here with his wife, Cece. Please give them a hand. And finally, I would like to introduce to you Greg Bowman, here on my left. Greg is a 1982 graduate of Northwestern and is the president of the Northwestern Oklahoma State University Alumni Board. And tonight, he will act as our Master of Ceremonies. Please join me in welcoming Greg Bowman.
Nice to be here with all the honored guests and alumni, and I just want to say ride, Rangers, ride. Let's meet our honored guests at the front table, beginning over on the east, Joshua Holland, Joshua's mother, Penny Vick, Alan Crouch, Thelma Crouch, Rick Cunningham, Dr. Janet Cunningham, and Sarah Brown. On the other end, on the west side, we have Harold Bars, Leslie Bars, Dr. William Pride, Nancy Pride, Steve Hart, Connie Sturgeon-Hart, Dawn Allen, and John Allen. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Janet Cunningham.
Thank you, Greg, and good evening and welcome to the 2015 Spring Alumni Reunion. This evening provides the university an opportunity to not only celebrate our rich heritage and traditions, but to honor and thank our alumni for their contributions of time, talent, and financial resources to Northwestern. It is a privilege to say welcome home. And before I continue, I would like to ask all of you for special thoughts and prayers for our many Nepal students who are dealing with such tragedy back home. So let's just give a silent moment of some good thoughts. Thank you so much. As you will soon see in our video presentation, Northwestern remains a vibrant and unique institution of higher learning. Our mission continues to center around a commitment to outstanding teaching that gives students a foundation on which to build their dreams. This mission becomes more challenging as state investment in public education continues to decline, but remains possible through the support of our alumni and friends, many of whom are sitting in this room tonight. This past year, our students and faculty continued to bring state, regional, and national recognition to Northwestern through academic and service accomplishments. Our students have distinguished themselves as a 2015 Newman Civic Fellow and as the Oklahoma Undergraduate Social Work Student of the Year. Collectively, they have engaged in research activities in record numbers and provided community service worthy for Northwestern to be named to the President's Higher Education Community Service Honor Roll. And from Harrod Hall to Carnegie Hall, our students in fine arts programs have brought the university much public recognition and praise. We continue to make improvements to our campus, and in less than 2 hours, our football team concludes spring football drills with a scrimmage on the new artificial turf at Ranger Field. They'd like to have you there, I'm sure. We also look forward to July, when we expect to hear from the NCAA that we will be granted full active membership in Division II. I'm proud to say our university has never been stronger. While much has changed, the qualities personified by tonight's outstanding graduates remain in today's students. Many of our students are able to be at Northwestern only because of the generosity of our alumni and friends who support scholarships and other university initiatives. On behalf of them, I offer sincere thanks. But today is a day of celebration. I want to offer my congratulations to our outstanding graduates and our honored classes. We will continue to work to make you proud alumni of Northwestern. I will close with videos recapping the year's events, followed by some student comments on the impact of Northwestern. Sit back and enjoy, and ride, Rangers, ride.
Northwestern is I don't think that I could expect to get a better opportunity anywhere else. I can't imagine that there's a program out there that would better prepare you for your future as a teacher. It's a rigorous program, but that's what makes it so great, is that it does prepare you for the real world, and my professors are just more than I could ask for. You can tell that they're passionate about what they're doing, and they would drop anything to help you out and make sure that you succeed as a student. And so to me, that's just the best feeling in the world, to know that you matter to them and that they want to see you be the best that you can be. To be a ranger, what that means to me is just being a part of something that is bigger than yourself. And it's, you know, I think coming into college, you have that goal of finding happiness and finding your place, and, you know, whether that be your place in the world or your place at college. And I think that Northwestern it embraces you and it welcomes you and it shows you and it pushes you to be the person that you can be. And so to me, it just means having that constant support and having a solid foundation to build yourself from, and you know that you have people that are there to support you. And the Ranger family, the way it comes together, I just don't think you can find that anywhere else. It really is for life when you come to Northwestern, and that's just the best part of it. It's something to be very thankful for and something that you shouldn't take for granted.
Music at Northwestern has given me several opportunities to do more traveling than I thought I was going to get to do. We went to China in 2013 and we went to New York this year. Those opportunities would not have been possible without the support that the choir gets. Both of those trips have been a really integral part to my success as a musician. Before even Northwestern came across my mind, I was not going to do anything with choir. I wasn't going to be in music at all. I was a biology major and I was going to go and be a physical therapist. Being given those opportunities is what brought me back to what I'm supposed to do, to what I have known for a long time, that I'm supposed to be a music teacher. I'm supposed to, or be a conductor. Those opportunities they changed my life. All of the professors that I've had in my experience are so focused on everybody as an individual. At Northwestern, we are privileged to be a name and not a number. One of my goals after graduation is to be financially stable through scholarship opportunities and job opportunities. I'm not going to have all this school debt that I'm going to have to deal with, and I'll be 22 years old and be able to manage money and be mostly financially stable by the time I graduate, and that's really exciting for me.
professors here at Northwestern Oklahoma State University are definitely top-notch. They are no step down at all from a bigger college. I'm sure many of them had the opportunity to go to a bigger college, but decided to come to Northwestern, whether it be from a personal tie or they just wanted to stay in a smaller community. For whatever reason, they came here, and I'm glad they did, because I've had plenty of professors that care tremendously about me and my success and have changed my life for the better in many different aspects. It's hard to find professors that truly care about you. I believe in that wholeheartedly, and you definitely find that a lot here. They all care very deeply about their students. I had a chemistry professor come up to me and ask if I could interview for an internship with a chemical company here in town, Iofina, who extracts iodine out of the brine water here in Oklahoma. And I said, sure, anything to apply my degrees and gain experience in industry or anything. So I interviewed with the company and ended up getting the internship, which has helped me tremendously. I've gotten to apply my degree and learn what chemistry is in an industry setting, and make some connections that will be amazing for me in the future. Northwestern is definitely helping me live my dream. First of all, by helping me find what my dream is. That's the first goal for an undergraduate student, is to figure out what they want to do with their life. But then after that, it's all about setting up for success. And Northwestern does a terrific job of setting students up for success. When I was recruited out of high school, I had a couple colleges want me to come on visits, so I went on visits. And when I decided to go to Northwestern, of course, I had to tell these different people where I decided to go. And a lot of them tried to talk me out of it because Northwestern was a small school, and because of different statistics they pulled from Northwestern that they said showed lesser quality of education, where that is not the case. I've never seen that to be true here at Northwestern, and it's been my goal since I got here to prove all of them wrong and go as far as I can academically, so I can call them back up in 5 years and say, you know what, I want you to take all that was said, I want you to take all that back and know that Northwestern is a terrific school.
Whatever you dream of being, if you go to Northwestern, you can be that plus more. When I was in high school thinking about what university I wanted to attend, people were talking about the larger universities in Oklahoma or even out-of-state universities that they felt they could get more opportunity, and that is not the case at Northwestern at all. I'm going to the second time to represent Northwestern on a national level in the Miss America organization by competing in Miss Oklahoma. So this year I'm so excited to be Miss Northwestern, my senior year of college. It means so much to me. It is such a wonderful feeling to know that you have done something for someone who can never repay you. And for me, that is what I seek after in life, and being involved in various organizations on campus like President's Leadership Class, Northwestern Scholar and Ambassadors, Alpha Sigma Alpha, for instance, that I'm a member of, Miss Northwestern organization, so many things that offer that community service aspect and really instill that in your heart. When I think of Northwestern, I think of leadership, I think of growth, I think of opportunity, I think of family, and those are four words that are always brought to my mind when I think of being a ranger. As much as I am so sad that I'm not going to be here as an undergrad anymore, I'm actually more excited to be able to be in the alum position because I'm all about being able to use my experiences or the things that have touched me during my time here at Northwestern and being able to give back. And I'm gonna be that 80-year-old woman that still comes back and is by herself at homecoming sitting with all of, the student union and, we're there just chanting with the band. So I'm excited for all of that. I absolutely do not have the words to say thank you enough to the people who have provided scholarship. For me, that was such a stress reliever to know that I could go to college and I could get it paid for. To be awarded in participation at Northwestern or to be awarded for working hard means so much, and really that reflects the character of Northwestern, and I'm very thankful for that. And so for anyone that's watching that's a donor, you have provided me the opportunity to be the woman that I have aspired to be, and without you I couldn't have done any of this. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cunningham. That was really cool. Tonight our dinners will be served at our tables. Before dinner is served, we'll be offering our blessings and gratitude. Pastor Ron Pendleton will lead us in this invocation.
Bow with me, please. Father, we come this evening thanking you for bringing us together to share in this celebration, a celebration honoring outstanding graduates of this university. We're grateful, Father, that we can celebrate with them and with all that we bring with us. We pause now among this celebration to thank you for this meal, and asking, oh God, that you would bless it to nourish and to strengthen each of us as we continue our journey in life. For we ask this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Judith Brown was honored earlier this evening in a pinning ceremony for our honored graduates. Ms. Brown is a 1965 honoree. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Mrs. Brown's granddaughter, Tatum Hanson.
It is truly an honor to represent this year's 2015 Northwestern graduates. As I look back on my previous years at Northwestern and all the memories that I have made, I can't help but think about the 11 outstanding seniors that just stood beside me and how I share a memory with each one of them. Such as Jake Streck, who I walked into my first ever English class thinking that he was all game and no brain, but was quickly fooled that I wanted him to be teaching me English instead of the other way around. Or Jeremiah Campbell, who sat through every RA meeting with me and shared good times about back home. Or Hope Comworthy, who helped me bring home a second consecutive intramural championship. Sarah and Emily Whitty, who every year helped build a haunted house, and then we would look at each other, tell us that we were never going to do it again, and then show up the next year. Michael Deegan, who has sat in NSA Hour, Northwestern Student Scholar Ambassador Hour to be exact, every year that we have been a part of it. But this year, unfortunately, I was unable to sit that hour, and he still hasn't let me live it down. Paige Little and Jennifer Jones, who have been a part of SGA with me for 2 years. Both of those girls have helped plan consecutive events that have been successful in helping get our students involved on campus. Jeff Martin, who is unable to be here right now because he is currently playing Ranger baseball. But this Canadian has been a part of conserving our Ranger environment with me and has taught me about the values and morals of saving our environment around Northwestern. Or Chris Satterfield, who I have to thank for my Spanish A. You know, when I walked into that Spanish class, he thought that he was getting an A+ partner, but he quickly thought that I no hablo español. And finally, Jaden Crocker, who started this endeavor with me 3 years ago and who I could not have been where I am today without. Thank you all, those outstanding graduates and the other graduates sitting in this room today that have made my life here at Northwestern truly remarkable. But also, thank you to everyone here in the Ranger family who has made me who I am today. Without you, I could not be where I am. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for driving me here 3 years ago and telling me that I quite possibly could make this place my home after I told you no about 3 times on the way over. Thank you, Grandma, who sits in front of me today and shares the same alma mater, but also the morals and the relationship with Christ that I only know I would have with you. Thank you for telling me that I can be the educator that I soon will be. But finally, I look out and I want to say thank you. Thank you to all the alumni who made Northwestern financially appealing to me, but then made this place a home. Because when I first came to Northwestern, I didn't realize that this place could truly wrap its arms around me and show me what it was like to be a Ranger. Thank you again for teaching me that in 2 weeks, my life as a Ranger is not over. Because once a Ranger, always a Ranger. Thank you.
Thank you, Tatum. That was wonderful. Tonight, our Ranger spirit is loud and it is strong as we honor the Northwestern Oklahoma State University outstanding graduates for 2015. These are individuals who carry the red and black banner with authority and with honor. They have taken their extraordinary education and their student life experience from Northwestern, and they are continuing to make an impact on our world. On behalf of the Northwestern Alumni Board, I am pleased to introduce our outstanding graduates to you. Who knew that at the age of 12, earning his 3rd degree black belt at his parents' martial arts studio might ignite a career that has taken this Northwestern Ranger all over the world? Originally from Chandler, Oklahoma, the outstanding graduate in the arts category received his mass communications degree in 2007. While at Northwestern, Joshua Holland played on the Rangers basketball team, but his athletic skills and artistic sense of style soon found him in New York City, pursuing a modeling and acting career. Josh was featured in print and television ads and appeared on shows such as Saturday Night Live and All My Children. But he found that his passion for the world of fitness training, exercise, nutrition, and sports would lead him on the path to a multifaceted career. And Joshua is still making a big impression in his life. His career includes Olympic trainer, trainer to and tour member with Madonna, yes, that Madonna, manager of 3 elite gyms, and the designer and marketer of his own athletic equipment. Josh, we are so proud of you. And tonight he is accompanied by his mother, Penny Vick. Let's give a warm Northwestern appreciation to Joshua Holland.
Let's take a moment to let this soak in, I guess for me more importantly. Thank you all very, very much. When I first got the call or the notice of this special recognition, I surely thought there was a mistake. That or maybe there was not enough nominees, I don't know, but it's truly an honor. At first I was thinking I would just talk off the cuff. I did make a few notes because people who know me know I like to just talk on and on and on. So instead of being here all night, I'll run over a few important points. But first, I'd like to take a moment to thank God for allowing me to be here. I'd also like to thank my mother, Penny Vick. She's always there for me. My father's not able to be here today. He's feeling sick, but he sends his love and blessings and support me. Thank you. I'd also like to thank my brother and best friend, Mario Holland. If you don't mind standing up for a second. It's my brother. He's now chief of police, doing a lot of stuff. That's my brother, best friend. Also, my manager, Earl Rogers. He's right here waving his hand and recording this at the same time. He's always in my corner as well. We've got a lot of things going on in the world of business, and he's always there to help me as well. So, many of you may know that I'm a personal trainer, thanks to the amazing introduction. So I wouldn't be doing myself any justice if I didn't have you guys move around a little bit. So let's stand up for a second and kind of shake out if you guys don't mind. Maybe stretch a little bit, move your legs. This helps me feel comfortable, so this is what I do for a living, why not? All right, very good, very good. Thank you, thank you. All right, that eases the pressure. Thank you. I was talking to Mrs. Case here, and I have the privilege of going first, so I don't know what to say really. But basically, Northwestern has been a stepping stone for my career, and the amazing video that we watched earlier allowed me to kind of relate to what the students were talking about, because I was in a position to where I could have gone to a much bigger school. I played sports, and I went to visit many schools around the country, and I came from a small town. I'm from Chandler, Oklahoma, which is a lot like the size of Alva, and I thought to myself, man, I just really want to get out of Oklahoma. I want to go to Texas, or I want to go to a big city, and one thing led to another, and I found myself at a visit here at Northwestern, and I had already kind of verbally committed to another bigger school, but when I got here, it was just something special about Northwestern, and I called my dad specifically right away after making that very long trip here. And I really wanted to kind of stay awake because I tend to nod off when I drive, which is kind of dangerous. But anyway, I was talking to my dad on the way back, and I said, wow, I think I really want to go to this school, because I don't know, it's just something about like the sense of family. And I couldn't say anything else. It's just the fact that this felt like a family. So the love, the support has been a real key driver into helping me get to where I am today. So I have to thank all of you, everyone that believed in me from day one, even through the Mr. Cinderfella occurrences and all the other craziness. People who know me know that I tend to take risks. So anyway, here I am doing what I do best. But along the way, I would definitely encourage any of those that are out there that are thinking about going to a school like Northwestern to truly take the plunge, because if it weren't for me coming here, then who knows where I'd be. I spent 2 years here, but it felt like a lifetime here of memories and experiences, and traveling around the world with Madonna, being on tour, doing all these crazy exciting things with the Olympics. I still find so much honor and respect, and I really, really, truly appreciate being from Oklahoma. So I'm a small town country boy, and I'm proud of it. So thank you guys for this honor, and yeah, why not, if you guys want to know more about what I have going on in my crazy world, add me on Instagram, at Joshua J. Holland, and come and take a picture and say hi to me, okay? Thank you guys.
Our outstanding graduate in the business professional category graduated with a degree in psychology in 1986. Connie Sturgeon-Hart, originally from Woodward but now living in Enid, reported that since her graduation from Northwestern, she has, and I quote, basically sold chicken. But her business savvy and her persistence to always put forth her best efforts proves that she not only knows how to start a business, but she knows very well how to make it thrive. As the owner and operator of Chick-fil-A in Enid, Connie has grown the business from a very small operation in a mall to a freestanding restaurant with a drive-through and a play area for children. She has been recognized with a symbol of success for sales increase within the Chick-fil-A Corporation, not just once, but 3 times. And she has earned numerous awards both on state and national levels. But perhaps her ability to marry business intelligence and an undeniable commitment to community gives her the distinction of true business leadership. Connie received the Governor's Award of Excellence in 2012, which is given for hiring individuals with disabilities and enabling them to succeed. Connie is accompanied tonight by her husband, Steve. Please join me in welcoming Connie Sturgeon-Hart.
I really don't know how I can follow that. Pressure is on. Maybe I should use my psychology degree a little bit, like I used on my quiz. No, I'm very grateful to receive this award. 28 years ago this week, I started selling chicken. I hit the ground running and I haven't stopped since. I don't think I've ever looked back and wondered why I chose the career that I did. Kind of unbelievable. My father raises beef and I sell chicken. But, oh well. I had sold chicken at the competition, but now I was the boss. Yikes. I was 22 years old. My foundation was set by my parents. My mother's here tonight, but like mine, father didn't feel good tonight, so he's at home. But they set the foundation for me. They are both workaholics and still very active on the farm. They believed in me from day one and still are some of my biggest fans. But my supporting team has grown to include my husband, Steve, and my 2 children who are both adults now, Seth and his wife, Emily, and Erica and her boyfriend, Landon. They will all jump in, get refills, clean tables, dump trash, unload trucks, anything that needs to be done. If you see something needs to be done, they're probably doing it if they're there in the restaurant. I also feel and believe that I have the greatest team at Chick-fil-A, and I'll put my team up against anybody's team. I know I'm partial, but oh well, I'm supposed to be. Chick-fil-A was chosen this year as the friendliest business in Enid. And I was so excited because we all know that Chick-fil-A has the best chicken. That's just given. But to get the friendliest business of all the business entities in Enid was very overwhelming for us. So this award is for my family and my Chick-fil-A team because without them, I would be nothing. Northwestern. Northwestern has always had a special place in my life. The small size allows us to remain close forever. I still have professors, fellow classmates, and neighbors that I had here in Alva come into my restaurant on a daily basis. This semester has been extremely fun for me because my daughter, who is a senior at the University of Central Oklahoma, has Dr. Lisa Lohman for a professor. Okay, so Lisa and I were sorority sisters just a couple years ago here at Northwestern. So when she first started introducing herself in class, Erica started listening and she started talking about Alva, and you know, most people in Edmond, they don't know where the northwestern part of Oklahoma even is. And so it was very exciting, and so she has one of my sorority sisters from here as one of her professors this year. So, you know, the world just keeps getting smaller. So I am blessed to be part of a great family, be a Northwestern alum, and part of a great Chick-fil-A family. But most of all, I give God the thanks for the opportunity to serve. Thank you. I need more chicken.
The outstanding graduate in the education category, originally from Alva, graduated from Northwestern in 1965 with a Bachelor of Science degree in General Business and Economics. William Pride went on to receive his MBA at Oklahoma State University and his PhD in Marketing at Louisiana State University. Dr. Pride continues an honorable career in education. teaching at the university level since 1967. He began as an instructor at OSU and has taught a wide variety of marketing courses at the undergraduate, master's, and doctorate levels for Louisiana State University, Illinois State University, the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and Texas A&M. Bill's time in the classroom has spanned more than 4 decades. His colleagues have estimated that over that time, he has taught more than 30,000 students. But we all recognize that the impact of the educator is immeasurable, and that what they share and teach often touches those that they have never met. Since 1977, Bill has been writing and co-writing textbooks with the goal of providing real-world business examples with real-world problems and solutions. Tonight, Bill is accompanied by his wife, Nancy, and I am pleased to introduce to you Dr. William Pride.
Thank you very much. When I received the initial call from John Allen, I thought he said that I would need to limit my remarks to about 75 minutes. After just a little bit of conversation, I realized he said 3 to 5 minutes. So y'all are pretty safe, I think. I am very pleased to be here this evening, and I feel very honored to be here, and I want to thank the university very much for this wonderful award and recognition. As John pointed out, I was a freshman here in 1961, and I began my college career in 1961, and it may seem strange, but I have never gotten out of college. Yeah, I've been in college now for over 53 years. And when I was a student, I wanted to get out of college with a degree. And I was able to get out of college about 3 times with a degree. But as I was in college long enough as a student that as I became a professor, then I no longer wanted to get out of college. And so I've been in college now for 53 years, and I still enjoy it very much. I can remember my first day as a freshman. I mean, my very first class. It was over in Dunn Hall, Jesse Dunn, top floor, and it was a course in American government with Dr. Badat. My very first class, and Dr. Badat was not from this part of the country. In fact, he was not from this country. He was, but he knew a great deal about American government, and he had a tremendous amount of knowledge, and one of his talents was to ask great questions. But I remember the first day, during the introductory part, he talked about what was required. He had very high expectations, and I was afraid that my college career was going to end maybe less than 1 semester. But fortunately, I was able to deal with that course just fine. Other teachers I had included Dr. Bouchard. I took zoology from him, and I can remember being in class, and he taught the lab as well, and we did a lot of work looking down microscopes and looking at slides, and he had such enthusiasm for zoology, and he was extremely knowledgeable, and he would be talking to us and looking down the slide and describing it, and I'd be looking at mine, and I'd be going, oh, I would look at it, and then I would think, I must have the wrong slide. I put my hand I'd say, oh, Dr. Bouchard, I think I put the wrong slide. He was a very patient man. But he had such enthusiasm, and he would come over, look down, and of course it was the right slide, and he would continue to talk very enthusiastically about what he was seeing, and he was just going on and on. I was sitting back thinking, really? You know, it's amazing. He's seeing things I couldn't see in there. Well, as John pointed out, I went on to Oklahoma State University, and in the final semester, I was offered an opportunity to teach at Oklahoma State basic management, basic marketing as a temporary instructor, I guess you would say. It was a one-year instructorship following my graduation from my master's program. I spent about 1 minute making that decision. And I decided to seize that opportunity, and that was my entree into being an educator. Why did it just take 1 minute? I think it took, I'm sure there were several factors, but one of the major factors, I believe, is that I had such a great undergraduate experience here at Northwestern. I had professors that were extremely committed, very knowledgeable, and very caring. I had great role models, and I was able to decide to become an educator in a minute when that opportunity arose. And I'm most appreciative for that. And I'm most appreciative to receive this honor tonight and this type of recognition. Thank you very much.
Tonight we honor our outstanding graduate and his legacy in the Humanitarian category. Francis Browning Pipestem graduated from Northwestern in 1965 with a degree in history. Originally from Fairfax, Oklahoma, he was an outstanding athlete who, upon graduation from Northwestern, was recruited by professional football teams. However, his promising career in football was cut short by a career-ending knee injury while in training camp with the Kansas City Chiefs. Mr. Browning went on to receive his law degree from the University of Oklahoma. This was but one milestone in his pursuit of justice as an advocate for the rights of tribes and American Native citizens. A member of the Oto, Missourian, and Osage Native American tribes, Mr. Browning's passion and work took him to Washington, D.C., Boulder, Colorado, Window Rock, Arizona, and back to Norman, Oklahoma. As a prominent attorney in Indian affairs, he was instrumental in the passage of the Indian Civil Rights Act of 1968. Mr. Pipestem passed in August of 1999, but his legacy remains. His work not only impacted the lives of Native Americans, but it enriched the lives of all of us. Tonight, we are honored to have Leslie and Harold Barsh with us. Mr. and Mrs. Barsh were close dear friends of Mr. Pipestem, and they will accept the award tonight on behalf of the Pipestem family. Please join me in welcoming Harold Barsh.
My wife told me to smile when you get up there. Smiling. We are both greatly honored to have been asked by the family to come up and represent them at this gathering here in this recognition of our dear friend Browning Pipestem. And it is indeed our honor to be able to do that. Just stand before you, just to talk a little bit about him and what he represented and what he did. Browning was a gifted athlete. He was a gifted athlete. What set him apart from other gifted athletes that you may know was his intense, fierce, competitive spirit. He was ruthless on the football field. his competitiveness verges on combativeness on a football field. Growing up, we grew up at Schlago Indian School together. Our parents worked there, and I met Browning when I was in the 8th grade. As a 9th grade football player trying to play football for Arc City Junior High, Browning was in junior college then, and our locker rooms were just not very far apart. The junior high locker room and the junior college locker room. And I would look over there at Browning and all those other JUCO football, and that was my highest aspiration. I just wanted to be like Browning. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be an Arc City Junior College football player someday. And then he would wave me over. Oh gosh, that's the greatest thing that happened. Browning Pipestem waved me over with all his football friends around. And I'd run over there and I'd worship the ground that that he walked on. Because he was such a good football player. And talented in other areas too. We used to play golf together. We used to go down to the pool hall, shoot snooker together. He shot a mean stick of snooker. He was gifted. But he never competed in anything. Softball, snooker, golf, anything. Chess, for fun. He competed to win. That was just his nature. And it wasn't the most flattering aspect of his personality either. But that's what, that's what helped him attain what he attained. To go along with that, he was a member of the Oto, Missouri and Osage tribes, as was said. And Browning embraced his tribal and ceremonial traditions. He embraced them. You could ask him anything about the tradition or ceremony or the history of the Oto or the Osage people, and he would know. He participated in it. He embraced it. He was also a very spiritual man. Browning was a very godly man. He was a man of prayer. And he embraced his Christian upbringing, at the same time embracing his traditional tribal ceremonial way of life. And he combined all that to be somebody that we Indian people, over the course of time, developed a tremendous amount of respect for. A respect for Mr. Pipestem, Browning Pipestem. Because of his actions, because of what he accomplished at the national level in behalf of the Indian tribes of this country in fighting for the sovereignty of the Indian nations of Oklahoma and the United States. Because of that, the result of that is what we have today as Indian people. The tribes here in Oklahoma are sovereign. We can make up our mind to determine what we want to do. We don't need Oklahoma's input. The only people that can tap us on the shoulder and ask us what we're doing is the federal government. That's all. We are sovereign. As a result of that, most of the tribes here in Oklahoma have their own judicial system, their own police force. Many of them have their own educational system, their own colleges. They provide their own health service, and they provide casinos. The state of Oklahoma can't tell us, you can't have a casino. We're a sovereign nation. We can do as we, and that is what Browning fought so hard for. He was determined. He argued these points in the Supreme Court, and he won them. And now the Indian nations and tribes here in Oklahoma can provide their own health services, their own education. They can take care of, one of these days, water is going to become like gold here in Oklahoma and other places, and it already is. And the Choctaw and Chickasaw nations have access to a lot of nice fresh water that the state of Oklahoma wants. And our governor, bless her heart, she picked on the two tribes in the state of Oklahoma that have the muscle to go toe-to-toe with the state of Oklahoma. The Choctaws and Chickasaws. They have the money, they have the influence to be able to fight Oklahoma toe-to-toe over water. So it's all these things that the tribes now have can be attributed to the efforts that Browning made as an attorney, as an Indian attorney. And we're riding on the victories that he accomplished for us, even to this very day. There's not very many people, especially my age, that when you mention his name, don't know about Browning Pipestem and what he did for us. He's an outstanding family. We love his dear wife. She passed away recently. And he's got a son who graduated from OSU, graduated from Stanford Law, and he is an attorney now. A daughter who works with the Otoe Missouri tribe in their language department. And another son who is sits around the drum and participates in all the ceremonies of the tribes. So he raised a wonderful family. And we wish they could have been here to accept this award in his behalf. But again, my wife and I, we've been honored to have been asked by the family to come on this occasion and to accept this award in behalf of them and the alumni of Northwestern Oklahoma. You did well in recognizing Mr. F. Browning Pipestem and his accomplishments, because they are great and you have a right to be proud of somebody like that coming from your school. Thank you.
Since last year's Spring Alumni Reunion, a motion was made to rename the Outstanding Ranger Recognition Award to something that might better represent the attributes of this honor. Every past recipient, and definitely our recipient for 2015, represents Ranger spirit. A lifelong resident of Alba, Thelma Crouch graduated in 1960 with her Bachelor of Science degree at Northwestern State College and went on to earn her Master of Education degree from Northwestern Oklahoma State University in 1994. Thelma has served Northwestern as our Alumni Director, Secretary and Director of Career Services, Financial Aid Appeals Director, and Coordinator of American Disabilities Act. In her spare time, what spare time, she has made cookies for the Ranger football team when they traveled, and she established the Thelma Crouch Staff Employee of the Year Award in 2000. Thelma also has been a trustee with the Northwestern Foundation and Alumni Association. And in the past year and a half, I have enjoyed the blessing of getting to know Thelma, and I feel a strong obligation to share with you more about Thelma. Those of you who may have taken a tour today on campus probably saw the J.R. Holder Wellness Center, our beautiful fitness facility. During the week, it opens at 6 in the morning, and I believe that Thelma Crouch is the first one through the door every single morning to walk the track before her workday begins. Now, Thelma Crouch does not just walk around the track. Thelma Crouch owns the track. The track yields to Thelma Crouch. She gives new meaning to the exercise known as power walking. And the one thing that I have learned is to not step on the track and risk breaking Thelma's stride. Somehow, she manages to keep the twinkle in her eye and the wonderful smile on her face as she delivers a rapid-fire Army drill sergeant type order, "Get off the track," or "Get out of my way." No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding. That's the truth. But that determination and that energy and that passion shown on the track all translate to Thelma's fierce love for Northwestern. We all love Northwestern, and we all think everyone should love Northwestern as much as us. But I can't think of anyone who loves Northwestern more than Thelma Crouch. Yesterday, I visited with her husband, Alan, and he said to me, I am so proud of her. And tonight, Alan, I can say we are all proud of her. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation and welcome Thelma Crouch.
Thank you. It's been over 20 years since I've addressed a company of alumni and students of Northwestern, and it's overwhelming. When John approached me at the Wellness Center about this honor, I said, "What do I have to do?" And he said, "Just take a little bit of time and say how much I love he and Skeeter." That's all I had to do. Anyway, I am honored. That was supposed to be a joke, y'all. Anyway, but I do have to tell them to get not off the track, but to the side of the track. So they lift weights, I just walk. I am honored, and this is something I never, ever expected. Having a Ranger spirit is probably the easiest thing I've ever done. And it's a great institution for my employment and my instruction as a student. My immediate family are all graduates from the Northwestern, the son and daughter, and brothers both attended. They didn't graduate, but one did, but that's okay. They spent time in the service. So one did, the other one didn't. But anyway, we're just so proud of them. They made all the sacrifices that they had to so that I could do what I want to do. Some of the fond memories of the students, other than some of the things that was in the article, was the students who still call me Mom. That's really something, that you have students come back after all those years and say, "Hey Mom, how you doing?" It's a great institution. I love this place. Anything I can do to support it, I will do if I possibly can. Thanks again for this honor, and I appreciate all of you. And it isn't just about me, it's about all of you out there who have the Ranger spirit and push it on to everyone else that will come to the institution. Ride, Rangers, ride.
Let's give another round of applause to our outstanding graduates. Tonight we have several past outstanding graduates with us, and I will ask them to stand and we will hold our applause until I have announced the last one. Stuart Arthurs, Ranger Recognition from 2014. Diane Kasparic-Spicer, Education 2013. Mike McGinley, Humanitarian of 2012. Angela Case and Valerie Case, Ranger Recognition in 2011. Rod Duncan, Education 2010. John Barton, Humanitarian 2003. Dr. John Ryder, Education 1995. Dr. Larry Claflin, Education 1992. Tom Newby, Recognition 1984. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a hand. Earlier today, we paid tribute to the honored classes of 1945, 1955, 1965, and 1990. That recognition continues tonight. 27 honorees were given their commemorative pins in a ceremony. Unfortunately, honorees from the class of 1945 were unable to join us, but the Ranger spirit has been enthusiastic from those in attendance today. I will ask you now, the honored class of 1955, would you please stand? Thank you. For the honored class of 1965, please be stand and to be recognized. finally, will the honored class of 1990 stand? And now I'd like to recognize some very special people, my office colleagues, all who have done so much to make this a wonderful, memorable day. Spring Alumni Reunion 2015 would not have happened without them. And I'm going to ask each one of them to stand. First, we have Kylie Amrine, our database and research manager. There she is in the back. Kelly Burgraff, office administrator. Susan Holliday, relationship manager. Jennifer Gersano, our communications and marketing manager. And Shane Ingleton, our development officer. Please give them a round of applause. I hope that many of you have been able to meet our students this afternoon. Those who gave you tours and helped you around campus. They are our Northwestern Scholar Ambassadors, and they are our future alumni. Today, they have owned the title of Ambassador, and I'm going to ask each one to stand as I read their names. Sydney Lowe, Natalie Malone, I think they skipped out, Rochelle Keene, and Natalie Sackett. Okay. We'll report that to the President's office. Earlier this afternoon, we recognized several individuals in an award ceremony. The first one that I'd like to recognize and ask to stand is Dr. Catherine Lane, who is in the back of the room, I believe. Dr. Lane is an assistant professor of English and is the chair of the English, Foreign Language, and Humanities Department. Dr. Lane was presented with the John Sheffield Teacher of the Year Award, which is selected by the Northwestern student body. Congratulations, Dr. Lane. Several students set to graduate in May, or who graduated in December, received various awards this afternoon, which are listed in your program. Some of them have joined us for dinner. Please hold your applause as I announce their names and ask them to stand. Jeremiah Campbell, Julia Conaworty, Jaden Crocker, Laren Davis, Michael Deegan, Tatum Hansen, Josie Hassenauer, Paige Little, Jeff Martin, Christopher Satterfield, Jukman Sherpa, Jake Streck, Emily Whitty, and Sarah Whitty. Please give them a round of applause for their accomplishments. Thank you, students. Now I would like to ask the parents and spouses of those students to stand. Spouses, thank you for your support that you have given your graduates. And parents, on behalf of the university and the Foundation and Alumni Association, congratulations on your success as parents. You have raised incredible individuals, and we thank you for sharing them with us. Skeeter Bird is the Chief Executive Officer of the Northwestern Foundation and Alumni Association. Skeeter is a 1985 graduate and has led the foundation since 2005. Please join me in welcoming Skeeter Bird.
Thank you, John. I wasn't going to say anything, but I have to say something. Connie, do you know Marshall Bell? Okay. Marshall Bell played on, when did he graduate? 2 years ago? Played on our basketball team. And I was sitting down talking to him one time right after a game, and this young man, just a fearless guy, but he said, I go to Enid about twice a week. I said, why do you go to Enid twice a week? He said, Chick-fil-A. I love their chicken. I said, it's just chicken. He says, no, it is Chick-fil-A. It is amazing. So if you have a young man who will drive 72 miles one way for chicken, you're doing something right over needed. I want to take just a few minutes of your time, and while I'm talking, I would ask that you listen. After I'm done talking, I'm going to ask that you think about what I've said. And when you're done thinking, I would like you to take action that you feel is appropriate. I was doing a little reading this week, and I ran across a prediction that concerns me. A couple of articles stated that between 15 and 50 years, depending on who you read, 50% of our colleges will go bankrupt and no longer exist. The key reasons stated were the increasingly high cost of tuition at a traditional university, the perceived lack of relevancy of a college degree, the ease, flexibility, convenience, and reduced expense of the online education or similar experience. Ladies and gentlemen, across our nation, our higher education system is facing a funding crisis. There are those schools who will survive and those that won't. I doubt that any of you believe that our state or federal legislature is going to be the solution. I believe our survival will hinge on our alums and our donors, just like you in this room, that will make an investment in Northwestern. Now, what didn't happen? Well, I'll ask you in a minute, but our students now receive the message when they graduate that when they get a job, their responsibility is to give back for those that will follow them. I'd like to see a show of hands of our graduates that you received that message while you were going to school here. Any of you? Wasn't the case. Well, you're going to hear it now. I would ask that you think about your experience at Northwestern and how it changed your life. Then I want you to think about a world without Northwestern and think about how many lives would not be changed for the better because if it's no longer existing. Little stat, most of you probably don't know, 1/3 of our students are still first-generation college students. Now, do you wonder if Northwestern is still a great and valuable experience after everything you've heard? Ask one of those students sitting here tonight, next to you. And while you're talking to them, ask them what their student debt load is. The national average right now is $29,400. Ours hovers around about $12,000. I think about 60% of our students graduate without debt. Will we be successful? I believe we will. If you want, you can ask my daughter. She's going to graduate this year as a 4th-generation Ranger in pursuit of becoming a dentist. Or you can ask her mom or me as our second daughter starts here. We call D2, daughter number 2. She wants to become a nurse. Then I want you to think about what you've heard, and I want you to take your time. And while you're pondering this information, I hope you will consider for a moment, where did I first learn to really listen? Where did I first really learn to think? And where did I first really learn to take action? I bet for many of you, just like me, you will realize that that happened right here on this campus. For many of you, Northwestern shaped you into the thoughtful, educated adult you are today. Finally, I'm going to ask you to act. Invest in a manner that is commensurate with the difference Northwestern has made in your life. Now, if you'd like to ask them additional questions before you act, there are a number of people in this room that can answer those. And those are the folks I'm about to introduce. Of course, Dr. Janet Cunningham, your president, and her husband, Rick. Dr. Steve Loman, Executive Vice President. If you'll stand, please. See here? He's going to the principal, too, I guess. Dr. David Paikey, Vice President for Administration. There's David in the back. Steve Valencia, Associate Vice President for University Relations, and his wife, Janet. Dr. Mike Needler, Dean of the School of Arts and Sciences, and his wife, Regina. Dr. Bo Hannaford, Dean of School of Professional Studies. Dr. Wayne McMillan and his wife Lori, the Dean of our Enid campus. And Myra Davison, Administrative Assistant for the President's Office. Please give them a round of applause. I offer them to you. You can ask any questions you want about what's going on here, and they'll be happy to answer it. Now the trustees, these are the people that I work for. Don't ask them any questions. No, these are wonderful people, and I appreciate their service immensely. Greg Bowman, you've already met. Dr. Megan Darrow, her husband Dudley. Will you please stand as well, Megan? Sue Fellers, her husband Kenny. Brian Fisher and his wife Mona. Brian's in the back as usual. LaVaughn McKnight and her husband Dick. Is Tom Newby here? I didn't. Okay. Jim Ritchie and his wife Melba. Susan Tucker and her husband Tom. Please give them a round of applause. Thanks for coming, and continue to do what you do for Northwestern. And I know a lot of times I've been preaching to the choir, but take the message back to those that haven't given already. Thank you.
On page 10 of your programs lists Christina Chronister for the next term as board member. If there are any nominations from the floor, if not, the nomination stands, and I congratulate Christina. Guests, please feel free to leave your name badges on the table. Also, the centerpieces on each table is destined for new homes. If your program has a star on the back cover, please take a plan as you leave tonight. Riley Weather, Joshua Faulkner, members of Northwestern University Singers will lead us in our alma mater as I wish you a safe trip home.
Please stand as we all sing the Northwestern alma mater.